Aaron Horrel is a professional photographer with a studio in downtown Cape. He specializes in photographing different species of plant life in southeast Missouri and southern Illinois. He also writes a weekly column in the Southeast Missourian, sharing his passion of the outdoors and of capturing all of those outdoor images through his art form. So please help give a great Cape West Rotary welcome to Aaron Horrel.
I do a lot less talking than I do being quiet, so my throat might end up coughing a little bit going through all these. I'm from Chaffee, Missouri. I came to the Southeast Missouri several years ago and asked them about maybe doing something for the newspaper on wildlife, because we always do people. We always see people in the paper, and I thought people would be interested in it. So they told me to give it a try. They were willing to let me give it a try, and so I did. And it's been going on for 3 years so far. And these images, I've got 50 images here to go through, and they told me I had about a half hour to get through them, so that's going to be a lot in a hurry. But I'll try to quit talking here in a second and go through these and just explain a little bit about them. Most of these animals, if not all of them that you see on here today, will be native to here. We have a lot of different kind of frogs. This is a leopard frog that's showing here. And it's in water, of course, and very close to it. If there's anybody has a question, I'm going to try and do each one in about 30 seconds. I think that's probably need to go to the next one. But if you have a question about any one particular thing, just ask. I might take one question for each thing. This is fire, believe it or not, and it looks like a woman. It's kind of in the shape of a woman. And I gave it a title called Goddess of Light. But it's fire, and I took several photographs of fire at my incinerator, actually outside my house one evening when it was getting dark. So you see smoke, and you see a lady. Now actually the torch, or whatever you want to call it, she's holding, I photoshopped that up there. I thought that needed to be there, so I photoshopped that up there. With the rest of it, that's how it was, and I was pretty amazed to see that.
What kind of lenses are you using? What kind of exposure times?
It varies. Exposure times vary according to lightness and darkness. If it's dark, of course, you need a lot more time for the camera to read what's out there. More light, less. The fire, even though it was late at night, that was without the flash. It was a quick reading of the fire. My camera is an Nikon D70 digital. I started using digital about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and I really like it. I don't do film anymore at all. Does anybody know what this is? It's a dung beetle. Can you tell what is rolling? This amazed me, but only because I'm out in nature and see this kind of stuff. I don't know if this is coyote hair or dog hair or what kind of hair it is, but it's hair. Dung beetles, I didn't know they rolled up balls of hair, but they do. And this kind of thing you can see sometimes in nature. Just a little bit of grass stuck in that ball and going across the driveway somewhere. Anybody know this old house? This is in Cape. It was in Cape. It's been demolished. So it's on South Kings Highway, close to the interstate. And I don't shoot a whole lot of landscapes, but this one I like because the door is about this tall. If I lived there, I'd have to duck every time. I don't know who built this, how long it was there, just what. Recently, it's been demolished. So, sorry. Anybody know what this is?
Horsefly.
Yeah, it's a horsefly. Any questions about a horsefly?
Tell us about it.
You know, just a little bit about them. A horsefly will bite you and it will hurt like hell if you let one. I've had them bite me before. Other than that, I think it's a really lucky shot. You can't, horseflies won't let you get very close to them. If they're sucking blood out of a horse or a dog or a cow or a human or something like that, if they're setting on you and they actually start to move like they're gonna you know, probe for blood, you can slap them then. But if you slap one of them, I mean, if you're trying to catch these things or get them off your horses or whatever, because they can be devastating to a horse. There could be hundreds of them on a horse if it's the right time of the year when the horse is in the wrong place. But if one was sitting on my arm, you can go like that, and you might get him. If you go like that the first time, you won't get him. But if he sees you, he's got eyes, his iridescent or fancy eyes. He can see anything all around him. So your movement is like a leaf blowing in the wind, and then you slap him. You can try that if you have a horse. How about this? Somebody says bluebird.
Indigo bunting?
Indigo bunting, right. It's very, very different from a bluebird. Bluebirds eat insects and seeds, but mostly insects. These guys eat mostly insects. This is the male. Females are brown. The birds, indigo buntings, will fly south for the winter and go to Central America. When they do, the male turns brown. And he's brown while he's down there, where you'd think he'd be exotic colors and so forth. He's not. He's brown. And then whenever they come back in the springtime, in the middle of April, you can see this bird changing from brown back to blue. Female will be with him, but you can identify her because she is brown and various colors of brown, and he will turn just brilliant blue. One of the prettiest birds that we've got. How about this? Anybody know what that is? I'd be surprised really if anybody here knew what that is, but they're very common. There's probably some growing just right outside, right down the hill. This is a jack in the pulpit going to seed. I know what they look like. I don't have a picture of one here. I know what they look like before they go to seed. But a jack in the pulpit has like it's not really a flower, but it's a petal. It's a leaf actually that circles around the stem, and the top of it hangs over the jack. It's like a little thumb or little whatever spire sticking out, and that's where the seeds develop, is on that. Then the leaf dies, and there's a secondary leaf that then pointed that comes up beside it. Actually, a stem which would have 3 petals on it, and they die all the way. So usually by this time of the year, you might see this. They probably have died and fell to the ground. Hello.
Mr. Ed.
That's duck fruit. There said duck fruit, that's right. This shot I took, and again, I don't do a lot of landscape photography, but once in a while, I can't resist. You have to take some. If you live in southeast Missouri, for God's sakes, there are some of the best landscapes out here. You know, I don't care what they say about the Rocky Mountains. There's some awesome landscapes here. So, these are all cypress trees, every one of them. And fog is moving in. I'm on the south side of Duck Creek, if you know where Duck Creek is. There's a boat ramp there that you can put your boat in on the south side of that lake. It's about probably a 600-acre lake. There's a road that goes completely around it. There's a row of trees kind of on the north that's evident here. This picture, I hope you can see it. And the fog was moving in. This was late January this year. And I looked through my camera lens and I thought, I'm on another planet. That's just amazing, you know, to look through and see that.
What time of day was that?
Probably 2:30. Something like that. This is a shot of Mingo National Wildlife Refuge that most people probably have no idea that you know, this shot is so cool because it shows the change in the scenery. In the winter, of course, the flowers are not there. In the spring, they're not there. There's all kinds of vegetation in this field that has its time. You know, it's 2 weeks of growth, and then we'll die back, and something else will take over. I'm not certain what these flowers are, what they're called. I could look it up, and I know I could find it. You know, look up yellow flowers of Missouri, but it's a native flower that has on its own accord taken over this 40 acres of field, which is amazing. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. We've got some amazing native stuff here, and it's beautiful. What kind of owl is that? Hoot owl. He does hoot. I can't do it very well with this mic, but I can call these guys in with my voice. This is the barred owl. Anybody turkey hunts in the springtime, if you hear a turkey gobbling after an owl, this is the guy, this is the owl that's out there in the springtime hooting, and then the turkey, the gobbler, will answer them quite often. A lot of times they will, real early in the morning especially. I don't know why. I think the gobbler can't resist for some reason. It's just like he has to. And this is not a native. This is a rose. And a little beetle is a cucumber beetle. And if you get those suckers in your beans or cucumbers or squash, pumpkins, if you garden and you get these in there, they will reproduce and really do a lot of damage. But the little bug is native, but the rose bush isn't. They're both beautiful. I don't care about the insect is beautiful. Pretty. About that, what would you call that? Anybody catch a fish that looked like this before? A group of 40 or so adults, no one saying that this is native. And they're big enough you can eat them. They get probably that long. Not big, a little smaller than a bluegill. It's a pumpkin seed. That's native, that's the name of it. A lot of us call it sunfish, and that's not wrong, but sunfish is just a sunfish, sunfish, I don't know how to say this necessarily, the sunfish is covers a large number of a group of fish. You know, there's a lot of fish in the sunfish family. This is a pumpkin seed, which is really, really a tasty fish. If you like crappie and you think crappie is awesome, you ought to try these guys. They are better. I've eaten them. You don't get much on a fillet, just a little piece. You know, it's not very big, but they're wonderful.
There's a testimony.
Everybody knows what that is. Just look at it. Getting that shot is luck. There's a lot of being out there. I set this up. I knew there were raccoons in the area, and I caught some fish, and so I took about 5 fish and I laid them around where I knew the raccoons would be. And he came out and picked one up. Isn't that cool? I mean, I couldn't believe that I could get a picture like that, but I set it up. Years ago, I would have thought, no, that ain't gonna happen. I'll try for weeks, I'll never get this. But that was it took me one afternoon, probably 5 hours to accomplish that photo. And I could go back again, and it maybe take me 3 days, you know. It just depends on how lucky you are that they come out, you know. And I've taken photographs of a lot of raccoons. This is a very clean raccoon. Raccoons are clean animals, but this one has no insects in its ear. It has no, it hasn't been wading in the water looking for crawdads or whatever, so it's not wet on its legs. Its feet are nice and clean. Everything is clean about it. That's what's so cool about this, this picture.
I'm still curious about your lenses. Are you using a lot of telephoto lenses?
I have two lenses. I have them out in my truck. I didn't break them in. I have two lenses. One is 15 to 80, I think it is, or something like that. It's short lens. I just call it my short lens. It's about so long. And then I have a zoom lens that's 200 to 400 millimeters. And a shot like this, I was about probably from myself to that speaker, a little bit farther, maybe from here to the pillar, right there, that far. So I'm about 20 feet maybe from him, and I'm zoomed all the way out with my long lens.
Now, are you using a lot of tripods with these?
No.
Pretty much freaking out?
No tripods. I don't like tripods. Tripods are heavy, they're cumbersome, they're bulky, they get in the way. I mean,
I'm just using it for video. There you go.
Tripods are good for holding things, holding your camera still if you're taking a landscape photo. Most people, they're not lazy. No, they're not lazy guys, but with a tripod, you're fixed on something that's fixed also.
Yeah, there you go.
Run off,
Yeah.
and then you start having to move that thing. Animals don't like to sit still, and little mushrooms and tiny plants grow real close to the ground. Tripod is useless. It's just useless to me. I've tried to go after foxes, and I knew where they lived. I knew what was going on. I tried to follow them through the woods with a tripod. This does not work. You're moving bushes and little limbs and stuff, and bumping things with your tripod. And you can try it if you want to, but I use a bean bag or multiple bean bags and a cushion. Turkey hunters, a lot of times, or deer hunters, will take a little cushion, a little seat cushion along, set it on the ground, set on that. I use that for holding my camera sometimes too. And I'll put it on the ground, the cushion on the ground, cushion about so thick, so square. Put it on the ground, put a bean bag on it, put my camera on that. That keeps my camera away from the dirt, away from water. And the cushion can take the dirt and the water and everything. The bean bag, I don't really like laying it in the mud either, but I've done it a few times. And then you've messed up the bean bag. You can't turn it over, you can't use it right. So I shot this with a bean bag. Laid the camera on the bean bag, focused on the bluegill, and wait until the raccoon comes. And a little bit of movement, he picked it up and he ended up carrying it off into the brush. And I've got other pictures of him too. But maybe I've gone a long time talking about this raccoon and the fish, but that's a bluegill and a raccoon. They're both native. How about that bird? It's amazing to me when I give talks like this. It's amazing when I stop on something like this. It's very common. They do go farther north. This time of the year, they're still farther north. They nest up in Canada, raise their young up in Canada for the most part. Some of them are stragglers, just like geese. You know, Canada geese will be here, residents here. Some mallard ducks will be residents here in southeast Missouri, but the vast majority go north. And this guy comes back for winter. It's a red-breasted nuthatch, and they're really interesting to watch. I like this picture because of his toes on his right foot, the way he's walking. They do a lot of climbing around on trees. They climb upside down and go around. And there's other birds that do that too. So if you see one doing that, you might think, oh, it's a red-breasted nut. No, it may not be a red-breasted nuthatch. It might be a creeper or something else. But it's very interesting. He's on the rocks walking like he's on tiptoes, which I thought was cool. one of our favorite animals, I guess, one of my most beautiful animals. But I call him in. You can do that if you go sit out in the woods where you know these things are, and you do that. Don't do it a lot, but just do it some. He's looking right at me, he or she. You can't tell the difference in the sexes of a fox by the color. You don't know. That this animal, this is late fall, probably December, when I shot this, and I saw it on a pond. It was walking across a frozen pond, across the ice, that it was going away from me, and I thought, perfect. So I started squeaking like that, and he came up on the bank, on the pond levee, and I squeaked some more, and he didn't run, but he came pretty fast, walking right to me. And when I didn't, he was probably from here to the vacuum cleaner over there, second pillar, about that far from me when I got this picture. But he knew I was not a squeaky mouse or a rabbit or something like that. He knew that I was a human being. He saw my camera. And still not terribly frightened, but his ears are up and he's not safe, but he immediately went in the brush. Is that a hen or a gobbler? Hen? Who thinks it's a hen? Who thinks it's a gobbler? Who thinks it's a bear? It's a gobbler, actually. It's not a gobbler, but it will be a gobbler next year. This is a jake. You can see on his neck, there's just a little tiny little protrusion sticking out there. That's the start of his beard. This turkey this is in the winter time again. This turkey was hatched the previous springtime in April, probably April or May, somewhere, maybe early June. And he's grown up, and by next season, he will be considered a jake. His beard will, wow, his beard is actually bigger than a lot of this time of the year. His beard will probably be this long, something like that, for the next turkey season. And he's a legal bird to shoot, but he has not created any offspring yet. The large turkeys, which I don't know if I have a large one on here, but the older gobblers will have beards that will be almost a foot long, if not longer. And they're a lot bigger and less gangly. This guy's kind of skinny, and he's learning how to take care of himself. His tail feathers also say that he's a jake, because they're not grown out. Some of them are right at the end, but they're not grown out properly. This is my community garden in Chaffee. I just threw this in to show you that I don't always do photography and artwork. This is the garden, the nutrition center, Chaffee Nutrition Center, is over where the cars are parked. And the city of Chaffee allowed me to personally go out and make a garden in an area where they have German Day, if anybody's ever been to German Day at Chaffee. I raise sweet corn, and this is pumpkins and tomatoes, so I raise a lot of stuff for them and take care of it myself. My wife helps me some, and my son helps me some, and that's about it. But something I love to do, and I will do it. So let's do it. How about that? I bet no one here has ever seen one, maybe even heard of one. This animal is called a siren, S-I-R-E-N. And we think of a siren as something that goes along with a fire truck, right? It's an underwater creature that lives in the water all the time. And it's very ugly. If you caught one, probably if you caught one on a fish hook, they would eat a worm. This thing would eat a worm. If you caught it on a fish hook, probably be a little bit apprehensive as to even touch it. But people get these mixed up with hellbenders, salamanders, snakes. They I caught a snake with legs. God, it had legs. It's a siren.
Size of that?
It's about like that. Yeah. But 13 inches maybe. It's a small one too. They'll get longer. And they live in the water. There's probably not one in the lake out here, but in swampy areas. So this one was in the nature center at Cape. That's where I took this photo. It's nearly impossible to get one in the wild and take this picture. So this was in an aquarium at the Cape Nature Center. And it still is a good picture to get because it shows this animal. I have caught grinnell or bowfin at Mingo. I don't know if anybody knows what a bowfin is, but I've caught those and had them spit out these things. So I know that the bowfin eats sirens. That's my finger. This is some kind of little spider on a flower. I think that's a rose of Sharon flower. Interesting, it's a kind of spider we have that's almost transparent. It's not poisonous. It's not going to hurt me. If it climbed up on my finger, I allowed it to. It won't hurt me. It won't bite me. It's not poisonous. Hello. I guess Christmas is coming. That actually was, let's go back to that for a second. That's kind of showing what you can do with a camera. Actually, you know, this is a very slow shutter speed. It's with a zoom lens. I'm zooming in on this probably from here to the exit sign in the back corner of the room. And I moved the camera. I mean, I'm moving it like this here to show you the movement, but actually I'm moving it like that. It's just a very little bit of movement. And these are lights. All this stuff looks like confetti or whatever going, like he's throwing something. That's all little Christmas lights. And you can play with your camera. Digital cameras are awesome for this kind of stuff. You can get all kind of different renditions renderings onto your card. That's a cicada and a little truck, just having fun, using camera movement, mirrors, and a live insect, and a little toy truck. I think it's a pretty cool picture. I've showed this to a few people with their things on. It's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. The milkman's not going to deliver milk today. This is a painting I did of an old cabin on Mingo Wildlife Refuge. It's called Sweet's Cabin. If you know where Mingo Wildlife Refuge is, and you get a chance to go down there and take the auto tour, go. It's probably the auto tour is being made larger this year.
Hey, Aaron, tell them about your art studio downtown. I think that picture's on the wall.
I did have it down there. I probably sold it. I sell this picture quite often, you know, various sizes, but usually not very big. I have an art studio downtown Cape, number 5 North Main. It's close to Hudson's Furniture, and it's in between Hudson's Furniture and Hot Shots on Main Street, so it's very close to the Wall of Fame parking lot. But this old cabin, this cabin was built by a family. Their last name was Sweet, S-W-E-E-T, and they lived there. They actually built this early 1900, like 1905 or 19 something, right, real early in the 1900s. And this is like an iconic place on Mingo National Wildlife Refuge. I'm a member of the Swamp Friends down there, and they allow us, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service allows the Swamp Friends to go down and take care of this old cabin as long as we keep putting back this shingle, shake shingles that are on this roof, and You know, it has to be the same kind of lumber that was used to build it and all this stuff. So it's a little bit difficult to find that kind of lumber. The shaped shingles, hope we can find yet, we can still get them. They should be cedar. I'm not sure if they let us use redwood. I don't know the last time. But I've helped keep the roof on this, and I feel good about that. I feel like I'm doing something worthwhile with my life. You know, I'm there quite often, and I took photographs of it from various angles, and I wanted to make a snow scene. This cedar tree, this old cedar tree, you can see how old that tree is by, you know, it's a big tree. It's probably that big, and for a cedar, that would make it at least 90 years old, if not 100, and maybe more. But these turkeys are just far effect. They're gobblers, I guess, at least the one in the back you can see here a little bit. Who would have thought that? What does that tell you, though? I mean, that's the kind of thing I walk onto stuff like this sometimes. I will tell you this much. If you're a nature photographer or if you are not, I don't care what you are. If you're a hunter or you're a hiker, I don't care. It does not matter. If you're a fisherman, you're anybody who goes out into nature in southeast Missouri or any place in the United States. Now, maybe in Canada you can go wherever you want to, I don't know. But in the U.S., property owners don't like you to be wandering around on their property without permission. So you've got to get permission. It's terribly important that you get permission. After I get permission, I might see something like this at the edge of a property line, and I thought that was just amazing. I saw that. And I had to take a picture. And I thought, yeah, Ed passing out because he was not paying attention, and he ended up trespassing. Let's see. This is poison ivy. These are the berries of poison ivy. But this, see the three leaves, not every plant with three leaves is poison ivy, and some people mistake that. Up here is another poison ivy. So that vine probably is off the same vine. But this one is not. That's not poison ivy, it's Virginia creeper. On the other side, you see another one that has, you know, you can see it has 5 leaves instead of 3. Virginia creeper and poison ivy grow together on the same tree. You know, no problem with that. They're just, one's poisonous and one's not. One you can handle all you want to. I personally can handle poison ivy. I've had poison ivy a very few times in between my fingers, but after I've pulled out a bunch of it, I don't really get poison ivy, but most people do. This is an old tractor on some lady's property out in Bullion County. She gave me permission to go there, and I spent an afternoon there, and one of the best pictures I got was her husband, who had passed away, old tractor. She said had been sitting in the same spot for 3 years. That was last fall, so it'd be 4 years now. I'm probably sitting right there. He died, he passed away, and she did not move the tractor. She wants it to sit right there as if he's still there. And I have this photograph printed and in my gallery. It's a cool, pretty cool photograph. Is it time for me to quit?
Yeah, it's good.
I can feel you looking at me.
Do you have any questions?
Do you have any bobcat photos?
I don't.
How many more
Bobcats
photos
are
do you
fine.
have?
I brought 50, so I don't know how far I am in this order, but if anybody wants to stay, I'll just
We need to have you again.
Oh, okay.
Let's Scott, let's have
That'd
it
work.
again.
I'll go through a few of them real quick. How would you think that would be done? You know, it's another one of those photos like that. Like, how do you think I achieved that one? this time exposed and a little bit of motion with mirrors and a flashlight.
Oh, my goodness.
Better stop on that one. Someone asked if I had a bobcat. No, but I've got a rattlesnake eating a squirrel. I'll get the bobcat eventually if I keep working. So, I need to stop.
Well, I just know we have a lot of people who need to get back to work.
Let's head
If
into.
they do, I'm not.